So, good morning, everybody. Ah, so every morning I blow my nose, and every morning I release those demons, and it's a process. I did sleep more than I expected this morning, but that's okay. My husband is still waking up and moving himself out, to go to work today, and yeah, so it's just we're supposed to have storms today, so yesterday I did have a few headaches for the barometric pressure because it's dropping because of the storms. And I figure I would just go through my timeline about what's going on, because I know this last month I dodged many potential cancer bullets. Now, what do you mean by that? Because when you have a closed system and you are trying to fight any kind of disease with remedies, surgeries, trauma, whatever, you develop more offspring, more demons. And even in this environment, it's so aggressive and hot brings in offspring because heat causes replication, it causes chemical reactions, and then you have all this extra offspring in your body that you have to release, but people don't because they're afraid to release. And so then it accelerates their predisposed issues of cancer in their family and all other damage that was done over the years. Okay, and so cancer are just juvenile cells that were never allowed to leave, really, and they kept replicating and replicating. And then the body also was deteriorating, and so then those cancer cells become very numerous, and then the body's trying to release them. So that's why the person's in pain when they have cancer, and the person doesn't allow the body to release. And so they hold all those cancer cells inside until they either have to get an operation and develop more trauma, and then it also develops more issues later, and the body's trying to release that trauma and become whole again, and the person doesn't allow the body to do that. And so that that's like the never-ending loop. And so anyways, so I have been releasing my demons and blowing my nose and opening up my system from down there all the way up to up here. So any kind of heat in the environment, any kind of electricity in the environment, any kind of excessive heat, I'm able to release those demons. Now, I could be holding a bunch of allergens in my body that my body's releasing, because the last month woke up more of the hives that I've had that came to a really like a peak, I think in 2021 or 2022. And it was during the winter, and I had all these hives on my front, and then they were coming all over. Then every frequency shift, the hives would come back, and they would come back a little bit less aggressive, and then less aggressive and less aggressive. So that's how you have to look at all your sickness, is that if you keep fighting sickness, you keep trying to resist sickness, every single time the body tries to release, it even doubles and triples its effort to release, and then you may not survive that energy conversion. And today I'm drinking whipped cream and coffee. And so I'm not craving ice cream at night. I'll have a little bit of cereal, but no milk. But in the morning I'm drinking my cream and coffee, and I have my hamburger and whatever else meat during the day. But this last month in July, I really had to pack on the weight so the body can handle the release process, because when the energy shifted, it woke up so many demons within, and the body had to have the arsenal to release. Okay. And so then yesterday I was watching, I was talking about L. Frank Baum and all the generations, how it's important to know your past and know your parents' past, and know the history that they've come from, as far as even economically and culturally. And American history is really a good history to know, because American history does affect the whole world, because the whole world is using America as the barometer. We're the last greatest experiment, okay? Okay. And so when I was talking about Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz, that was L. Frank Baum's first novel that became very popular, and that turned into movies and all different offshoots. And then in the 1980s, the movie Return to Oz, okay, that was darker. that was the theme of the 80s, was as horror movies and killing and serial killers and teenagers always getting chopped up by some crazy maniacal man like Freddy Krueger or Mike Myers or some crazy guy out there in the woods, some feral person like The Hills Have Eyes type of situation, or Texas Chainsaw Massacre, or some kid that's possessed like The Omen and The Bad Seed, and then animals that are possessed like Stephen King novels and movies like Cujo and A Possessed Car, and then the Cat Cemetery or Pet Cemetery. Okay, so all of those movies in the 80s were telling us something. And then on top of that, all the movies about the torture in the medical system, the horror movies that talk about the surgeons and rogue nurses, okay? And so Return to Oz was on that theme. And I haven't watched it recently because I had to find it somewhere. I mean, I could probably watch it on YouTube and pay that rental fee. But I remember the electric shock therapy that she underwent. And that's been used, electroshock therapy. Electroshock therapy is supposed to either erase the memories that cause a person to act in a certain way, or it takes away everything and zombifies a person. Or it also controls people's immune system, controls their energy levels. And so when a person doesn't do exercise right and the atmosphere is very calm and there's no one around that is motivating the person, whether negatively or positively, then they'll just kind of be like, well, just relax and chill and whatever, and potentially even getting fat because they're not releasing and there's no really activity to cause that energy conversion. And so the system's like, okay, well, we see how energy influences and motivates people either negatively or positively. And so Return to Oz was showing us that that we are going to be, that now, not only are we let going of the fossil fuels, so we're not going to be polluting the atmosphere and the earth, but we're going to be relying on electricity. And everybody is going to be relying on electricity, electric cars, electric grid, electric everything. And they're going to take away the gas at some point. They're going to take away all the gas, the natural gas or the combustible gas and the oil stuff. And so then you know about HARP and CERN. What is HARP? It's some high auroral research center that messes with the ions, the ionosphere. And then there's CERN, which is a particle acceleration that splits atoms and does a bunch of stuff, okay? And those are major machines. And we have the Wi-Fi. And then we also have the direct energy weapons. And we have more aggressive storms, and we're in climate change. Okay, so the message of Return to Oz with the electric shock therapy that you've heard about in the insane asylums, that electric shock therapy patients who have been turned into a vegetable, some of them just waste away in those insane asylums, or some of them get released onto the street, and maybe they're all over California. You think about all the homeless in California and all the different insane asylums or asylums that closed down back in the 90s. I know a few of them, or one at least closed down in the Bay Area. And then where did all those people go? Who knows? All over the streets of San Francisco, Sacramento, LA. And so the message of Return to Oz was human DNA will be controlled by machines and electricity. Dorothy experienced electric shock therapy in the movie, and then today, particle acceleration from CERN, ionosphere research with HARP, and bioengineering using all therapies, surgeries, and herbs and drugs. Then look at all the different rife machines, direct energy weapons, oncology. And so the system using all these different energies and chemical reactions and all the different stuff that causes combustion on some level. That's what they're using to control people and control DNA. Because I've felt, since I've finally released the demons, I'm not laden down by so much heavy metals, and I have energy in my body, and I'm lighter, and I'm also fluid with the environment. I can actually feel I can hear the frequencies, I can feel them too. And then I also notice that when the energy is like, there's a certain kind of energy that causes me to be energetic. And so then also what that probably does is the energy comes through and wakes up stuff and causes me to dance, not literally dance, but become very focused on what I'm doing with a lot more zeal and enthusiasm. Okay. And so I know that the energy in the environment with all of the CERN and the HARP and the crazy storms and all of that have a direct influence, and even just, obviously in the environment and causing rapid growth. Vegetable gardens are growing faster, turbo cancers are happening, but also the headaches because the barometric pressure is dropping very rapidly, and so you feel it. I felt it last night, and then we have storms today. Okay? And so now then look at all the different Rife machines, right? The direct energy weapons, oncology, radiation, and then look around you. Okay? Now remember in my info and the need for all food, insulation, and release the trauma demons. And so just because the name to the food changed, and this is where people are going to be really tripped up, especially in the religious world, because they're so used to having their food with a certain name, and it's raised in a certain way with very, familiar ingredients. When they finally changed the food supply to be cruelty-free, and they'll name the ingredients different names, but you have to look at what makes up these names. And it's still the same stuff: fatty acid, amino acid, prohormones, and minerals. But remember, you need the food supply to not only help you release the trauma demons, but also rebuild your body. And just because the names of the food change doesn't mean that the actual constituents of the food haven't changed. They're still the same, because all humans need fatty acid, amino acid, prohormones, and minerals, okay? And so don't let the system changing make you starve yourself. And a lot of people, again, in the religious world are starving themselves because they can't handle change. They don't understand physics and chemistry and the periodic tables of the elements, and they don't understand proteins and what the human needs on a daily basis because of the religion, okay? It's all about, oh gosh, you got to be skinny. You can't be skinny in this environment. You can be well proportioned, but when the environment changes and where you have allergens to release, you have to gain the weight. You got to give your body reserves to take on the pressure of more substance, so then the body can release, and you have something to replace what you're releasing. That's the thing with right now in this environment, with all of this climate change, the heat in your body that you feel, whether initially from the J juice, the first time you take it, or from a frequency change, you're going to be like pooping, maybe throwing up, sweating. And so when the body raises heat, it's releasing demons. When the environment raises the heat, the demons are releasing at the micro level. People are feeling it. And they're also dying at the macro level. And so, and those that don't have enough substance or have what it takes to deal with that energy conversion of the heat being raised and the demons being released and replicating and all that stuff, then you'll be released into the the upside down. Okay? And so that's what climate change is. Just like the J world. When I was doing the J juice initially, when the frequencies were slower, I was raising the heat in my body, raising that particle acceleration, doing all that chemical reaction with the energy called the salt and the water and the probiotics. And I was releasing demons, releasing trauma. I still had to build up my body. We didn't figure that out until like a little bit later. That we had to eat all food in the food supply to replace all of those demons that were released, because you still have a core of you that still has to run things. But like the government's like, when they're almost overrun by conspiracy theorists and anti-government people, there's still people who are like, okay, I understand the government. They don't rebel against the government. But the government has to release all the people who are anti-government, but not in a way like they did back in World War II. It's then through the environment. Okay? And then you have to replace with strong people, with strong proteins. See, what happens at the micro happens at the macro. Scientists understand this. The government understands this. The people don't want to understand it. And so that's why there's such a pushback and resistance, because people don't realize that they have to release their demons. Like literally, they have to release their demons, and they also have to bring on the substance. so that we can replace those demons with whole cells that aren't traumatized. Just like the people out there who are so traumatized by politics, religion, science, when they can't handle the environment, they're going to be released through the environment and their own practices of starvation. And then they will be replaced by someone who is going to be stronger than them with relatively less trauma, less resistance, less negative behaviors, and more of the chill out predisposition. Okay? And so what happens to the micro, you releasing all those trauma demons, is no different than the macro. And so, so don't let the changes in the food supply as far as the names throw you off. But again, if you don't understand science and chemistry and physics, you'll believe all the stories. You will believe all the stories that are coming from people who are so much in fear. And they are deteriorating rapidly. Okay? So you need to eat all food, whatever it's called. Doesn't matter what it's called. Doesn't matter what you think it's made of. You have to eat all food available to you. You can't survive on your garden alone. You can't. Because what you grow in your garden, whatever vegetables are out, they're able to grow in your area. But you still need the processed food. You still need the meat. You still need the milk. And you want to be cruelty-free. Meat, milk, cheese, eggs, and all that stuff. Okay? And so that's the whole point of the government, is to now have cruelty-free food so we're not torturing something to feed us. No different than when people are torturing each other because they get off on the negative energy. Those are called vampires. That's why there's so many vampire movies, to let you know how humans have interacted with each other. They cannibalize each other. Maybe not so much literally, though it does happen in serial killers like Dahmer and stuff. But people do feed off each other. And they suck the life out of each other. And sometimes that's literally because of sexuality. But also, people suck the life out of each other relatively figuratively because of the constant need for interaction from people that will constantly give them that interaction. And that's why you have to be very careful when you want to have friends. How far is that going to go? I'd rather have acquaintances and people that I understand and people that kind of know where I'm coming from and they're tolerant and maybe they even are understanding where I'm coming from and doing what I'm doing. I don't necessarily have to call them a friend. Yeah, they're friends. You think about everybody's acquaintance, but you can kind of pick and you can kind of figure out who's a safer acquaintance, okay? Because even your good friends may not be really good for you as far as longevity. You might have safer acquaintances that would actually bring you back to life than your good friends who are deadly. That's the whole irony about relationships. And so that's why I'm like the kind of wife that will promote life for my husband, promote relaxation, and he makes his own choices. But, and so I don't want to be that wife that sucks the life out of my husband in body, mind, and spirit, and financially, and in expectation. No. And so, yeah, so you got to figure out, why are you friends with people? What is it that you get from them? And then you're going to find that people who are deteriorating need a lot of friends. Okay? And people who are not deteriorating don't need a lot of friends, because what are friends for? It's goods and services. It's being fed by somebody's energy. I can feed myself. I mean, I eat food, but I can feed myself as far as entertainment. I can feed myself intellectually. I can even entertain myself. I play little video games every so often. I read stuff. I learn stuff. I talk. I watch things. And so what will then a friend give you? Well, if they're not on my level of talking about stuff, then what do you talk about? You know what I mean? And so I don't have the same interests as a lot of people out there. And the people don't have the same background as I do. So it makes it hard when you finally can feed yourself in body, mind, and spirit on some level, and intellectually, and all of that. Then you're like, okay, what are these people for? Oh, occasionally it's nice to have interaction with people. And that's just like going into a different environment and getting the different energies and the feedback. But then how far do you take it? Okay? So everything's a once in a while thing, just to kind of change the scenery. But you don't want to get addicted, you don't want to get dependent, you don't want to get anything like that. You want to be able to stand on your own 2 feet without relying on that type of energy. Okay, if you're in a business relationship with somebody, a business contract, a business relationship, then that's a little bit different, because you are now in a contract of survival. Okay? If you're not in a contract with survival with people out there, then there's no reason for you to then try to survive on someone who isn't going to keep you alive. And there's no reason for them to take from you. Okay? If they're not going to find a way to not only, I mean, that's the thing, is like, I don't want to have that kind of friendship relationship where it's all about, oh God, how much do you owe me for, you don't want to just give away because you're like benevolent, and you don't want someone to just you don't want to take from somebody else that because they can't, because they would, because they want your friendship. That's taking advantage of people. Okay? So anyways, you figure out that you're not going to need a lot of people in your world when you finally become relatively self-sufficient. All right? And so, God, that was a tangent. And so anyways, you need all food, or you won't survive. And the more you resist evolution with ivermectin and all herbs, the more you will fall apart. Okay? And so that's kind of the issue right now with those who are in the anti-V world. They, oh yeah, don't get a V, but here, take an ivermectin. Those are two completely opposite things. A V promotes life, whatever it is, okay? A V promotes proteins, and ivermectin attacks proteins. So you're actually doing something anti-life. Even though, yes, the V activates your immune system and you don't want to feel the activation, then when you do, you turn around with any kind of activation to your immune system, you go and attack life with ivermectin, with herbs, extracts, and detoxes. And then that is the antithesis of your intention, because you don't understand what you're doing. When people attack the symptoms, they destroy themselves periodically and progressively. And then what happens is then they misplace their anger and their blaming onto something that actually is promoting life, activating your immune system. Not only do the V's activate your immune system on some level, so does the environment, and so do your friends and family, and so does food and air and water, and so does all of your activities, the concerts, all the social capital, the basketball games, all the concerts, everything activates your immune system. It's a question of how you react to your immune system activation is really the point here. And people don't get it, who are too much into religion and not understanding the science background of what's going on. And so the less you release those demons, because even the ivermectin and all the herbs develop more offspring, more demons in the body. The less you release the demons, the more those juvenile cells will take you over. That's called cancer. That's called being on a breath machine to open up your airways, because you never condition your body to open up your airways. Science has already proved it. Just reverse the equation, especially in the medical, holistic, energy healing world. Reverse the intention. Reverse the equation. And so when you're on those breath machines and they're doing the stuff where they're opening up your airways, forcing them open and making it go upside and downside or whatever, they are doing what you should be doing on your own when you're coughing and sneezing and blowing your nose. And when you condition your upper region here and your lower region there to release, and you know all the different trigger points to release. There's even stuff up in your nose that you can open up and it causes you to release the mucus that's up in here. I know all the trigger points. It's up in your nose, it's in your sphincter, and then things come out. And then I release the demons. And so I don't have to rely on the medical system or the holistic system to stop my body and then cause me to have even more of an aggressive reaction later on. Okay, and I'll come back to that later because there is a thing I want to talk about that. Oh yeah, that's right, I'll do it in this one. When you take all the drugs and herbs to delay all the evolutionary reactions, even starving yourself, evolution and all the feelings will come rushing back, and they will double and triple, quadruple what it was in the beginning when you first stopped the reaction. And so I made that analogy yesterday, that when you get a delayed reaction from a drug, because you're like intending to feel the euphoria and feeling, or the LSD stuff, like the mushrooms. You get a mushroom that wasn't very strong and it delayed the reaction. And so you're like, wow, these mushrooms are not really working. And so you take more of the mushrooms, take more. And you're like, okay, whatever. And then all of a sudden, all those mushrooms, when you could just take one mushroom and just waited for the system to process it and that give you the reaction, it was a delayed reaction. And so all those mushrooms came all at once, the reaction, and then all of a sudden you're like laid out. Maybe you don't survive that. And so when you take all the different drugs and the herbs and the turmeric and the honey and the apple cider vinegar and all of the herbs and extracts and all the different shit that you're doing to stop your body from releasing. So you're purposely delaying your body's reaction to release. And so you're holding all of those juvenile cells in, you're holding all that negative energy in, you're holding all of that trauma in your body. Well, one day, nothing that you're going to do is going to work, because the body will develop an antibiotic resistance. Antibiotic resistance means that one day you will get cancer, you will get disease, you will get chronic illness, you'll get an autoimmune disorder, or you won't survive the night. Because then all of that delayed reaction of you taking all the drugs against your body's release process, you taking all these things to stop your body from releasing, the body's going to force you to release those demons. And you may not have the infrastructure to deal with that release process. Your heart and your lungs and your liver and anything will be deteriorated down to like a paper thin. And so any kind of energy, that paper thin barrier or whatever, would then be broken just like that, and you wouldn't survive. That's what happens with heart attack victims that don't survive. Is their heart, their atrial walls and all of their arteries and capillaries could not handle the energy conversion, because they have delayed that release process for such a long time. Or you then have all those babies inside of you, all that negative energy and all those juvenile cells inside of you, then eat you out from the inside. And so every food that you're eating, because you're not releasing demons, is feeding the babies that are eating you. That's also what's going on. And that's why you see people become so big, because the not enough collagen, too much fat, and their infrastructure is deteriorating. So they're kind of like a gelatinous blob when you think about it. Or they become so skinny, and they become decrepit. And you can see it in the eyes. You can see it in everything, especially the hollow eyes. You can see when someone's losing life force. And that's someone who is aging out in the system, who is skinny. Just look at all the nursing homes. That'll tell you how those little demons inside that weren't allowed to be released, how they're cannibalizing the person. Or the person's lack of firm infrastructure, lack of collagen, lack of balanced everything has turned them into a gelatinous blob. And so there really is no organized infrastructure. It's just like more fat, obviously more skin, and less collagen, less muscle mass, less bone structure. And so they become, like the blob. Okay, and that is also what goes on in the nursing homes and out there. And so you have to be able to condition yourself to release the demons and feed your body the meat, milk, cheese, eggs, fruits, and vegetables. More the meat, milk, cheese, eggs, and the gluten and the fat and all of that. And so taking all the different drugs and herbs will delay your body's ability to release. And see, when someone is really active, like seriously active, and they have to take drugs to calm down, and it doesn't even help, really, then it means you have to release not only the demons are causing your activity that's like so hyper whatever, and then you have to bring in the food. You have to literally bring in the meat, milk, cheese, eggs, and you have to gain some weight. Okay? That's the other side of it. When someone is so highly, so highly wired because of all the demons inside that are causing that frenetic activity. I mean, it's great because you get a lot done. I mean, and a lot of the blood type A's and B's are like that. Blood type A and B is causing that much energy conversion in the brain, causing that much energy conversion in the body, and is taking up resources that eventually the body's going to wear out, because that energy, it's like being on a battery that's wearing down, that can't be recharged. Food is what recharges people who have so much energy. And of course, sleep. And of course, chilling out and eating more of the food. The milk, the meat, the cheese, the eggs, everything. And there's people who are so hyperactive and who are so highly. And I know there are body types out there that are like that, and they barely sleep. But eventually, if they don't figure out how to change that dynamic and release those demons, or causing them to be like highly this way, it's going to wear them down faster in this environment. And so when you take all the drugs and herbs to delay all the evolutionary reactions, even starving yourself, evolution, all the feelings will come rushing back, double, triple, quadruple what it was in the beginning when you first stopped the reaction. Can you imagine how many people have taken all the drugs and surgeries and everything ever since they were a kid? And then finally, when they were like my age and they have to go and finally release the demons and take on the food. Oh, it's painful. That energy of reversing what you've done to yourself for all those years, it's painful, but it's not like it's manageable, I guess. Some people are going to feel stuff like heart attacks and strokes and stuff like that. And you have to keep eating and releasing and reinforcing all of your structure to handle that energy release, because that's going to inevitably happen. Especially, that's why I say, if you're scared of feeling the energy, you got to go see a doctor to let him know that you're doing something like this and you want to take on all the food supply. You want the salt, you want the sugar, you want the gluten, and you also want them to monitor the progress, not try to stop the energy, because that's what happened. That's what made you, develop these conditions to begin with, because it kept stopping the energy. But you want them to keep encouraging you to keep taking on life and releasing the damage, the demons. That's why you have an alimentary canal. That's why you have a system. But you don't want them atrophying your system from releasing. You want them to tell you that you'll be okay. You want them to encourage you and to keep feeding, and that, okay, your numbers are relatively okay, but, we're not going to starve you and we're not going to do these crazy things to you, but you'll be okay. I don't know how many doctors are going to do that, but I can't tell you, do this on your own if you're scared. So that's why I'm saying somebody's going to have to go and petition the medical system to develop a refeeding clinic so they can monitor people who are starving and who are afraid to feel the energy of life. But they will be okay, and as long as they have the food and the electrolytes and the salt and the sugar, and then they know how to open up their down there to release those demons and blow their nose, because maybe a doctor needs to teach a patient how to blow their fucking nose. Maybe a doctor needs to teach a patient how to hawk up loogies. Maybe a doctor needs to teach a patient how to open up their alimentary canal and pull out the shit. Maybe a doctor needs to teach a patient to do that. And it's up to the patients to ask the doctors to show them how to fucking do it. And the doctor goes, I don't want to show you how to do that because it's so dangerous, right? Then, you're fucked. Unless you are going to then learn on your own. Okay? And that's what's going to happen for a lot of people when the doctor system doesn't want to go and reverse everything they did to you. That's what's going to happen. And so people will be on their own. I feel bad for people like that. They have to rely on somebody else. But that's the way shit is. That's the way shit works right now. They discourage you from being self-reliant. They encourage you to have large families, a lot of friends, and the medical system. The system does not encourage you to be relatively self-sufficient. They want you dependent. All right, that's why you want to stop doing drugs, because that delayed reaction will destroy you. Okay, so that's the thing. Eventually, you got to win off the drugs and eat the food. Once the food replaces all the drugs, once you release all those demons and you feel the pain, you won't need the drugs anymore. You'll be relaxed. You won't be so hypernetic or so slow. And because I was the last few weeks, I was feeling slow. Even last night, I was feeling kind of heavy going down the stairs, holding on to the walls on each side to help me go down the stairs because, oh yeah, I feel the fluctuations, and it does make me feel heavy sometimes, but that's temporary. That's temporary. And so I know as long as I keep releasing those demons, and I know how to do that, then I will keep taking on the proteins of the food, and then also give my body the carrier force to release the demons. Okay? And that is in your poop, that is in the sweat. I wake up sometimes in the morning and I'm sweating like a dog because my body is trying to release that poop, and I have to help it out because it'll keep it in until I help it out. So then it tortures me. You say, okay, time to release. Okay, time to release. Time to take a shower. Time to do all the things you need to do to help your body release. And I have the armpit stuff. And, oh God, I gotta blow my nose. And you hear that. You hear how forceful my sneezes are. And then, yes, mucus comes out. because the body is releasing a spirit. And that's what they say, be less you, because that's less of a fucking demon that's in you. But when people say just bless you, they're trying to take demons out of you that they have no idea what the fuck is going on. So you don't want someone saying bless you without you sneezing, okay? That's why I say don't say bless you on there, on bless me, whatever, on Facebook, because I didn't sneeze. So you don't want to bless me. You want to bless me if I haven't sneezed. But I sneezed, so here you go. And then I really blow my nose. Like, that's why I have all these towels around me all the time. I'm not swallowing the fucking spirit, okay? So all you girls that are into swallowing their husbands or friends' semen, no, you're taking in the fucking demons. Fuck no, I never liked that shit. Literally. I'm not a swallower. I'm barely even a sucker if you think about it. But no, swallowing in sex is just no. You're taking in someone's negative, fucked up demon. No. No. Sorry, I had to say that. Oh my God. I know why now I don't like that part of sex. Ugh. Gross. Gross. So all you guys expect women to swallow or spit or whatever the fuck. It's nasty. Nasty. That's all of your trauma, your stress. And if a girl does it, she swallows and spits, she's trying to please you and she doesn't care, really. I'm not that type of chick. And I hope there are chicks out there that have better respect for themselves than to swallow somebody's semen or somebody else's mucus. That's fucking nasty. I'm serious. I'm serious. Then you know kind of how I am. I'm not a porn star. And I don't want anyone out there to pride themselves into being a porn star and taking in all those negative entities. Not even before, but before you didn't know any better because everybody else is doing it, right? I actually never did that shit. Never. To me, it was nasty. It was nasty. So, gross. Sorry. Anyways, so that's why I'm trying to save my husband, because I don't do that kind of shit. I'm not sucking the life out of him. Fuck no. I'm sure he would love it, but most men love it because they were trained to love that shit until they realize what's going on. But some don't really realize what's going on, and they want what they want. But you as a woman have to be stronger than your husband, stronger than your boyfriend, and stronger than the men out there that will try to find every way for you to suck the life out of them. And you better be stronger, women. Okay. And so anyways, get off of that tangent. And so that's why we want to stop doing drugs, because that delayed reaction will destroy you, right? It's happening. People are dying suddenly because their body cannot handle all the prior delayed reactions and it finally had to release. That's called a supernova. In this environment, you must allow your body to release, and you must build up the pressure of food to repair all the prior damage and all the trapped allergens, right? People hold on to so much allergens in their immune system, which is why they were being tortured by new allergens and the offspring that keep reproducing because the body does not release. People are stopping their body from releasing, literally. Okay? And so it's kind of crazy. And I'll get to that one. Let me go back to, I'll do, okay. So then your body controls how many juvenile cells. So your immune system actually stops cancer from developing because the body not only attacks the cancer cells in your body, but also helps your body to release them. That's why I don't know if you see this, you can still see it. My husband says it's a little bit there, but before I felt a little stiff, but now it's feeling better. It's not as sore as it was the last few weeks. But this is your lymph nodes. This is your immune system. Okay? This is where then your body holds on to, finds all the shit in your body, and then it brings it over here to this distribution station, and then I'm blowing my nose or I'm releasing demons. All right? So and then I have lymph nodes under my armpits that when it sweats and there's an actual line, a dark line. It's not going to call it a rash, but it's an opening that seeps out stuff. And even in the groin areas over there, right between the leg and wherever, you can see on the maps of where the lymph nodes are there. And also, you can look where all the lymph nodes are. They're everywhere. And so you want them to be open. And sometimes it is painful when you finally open up your lymph nodes down here under your armpits and you have a major rash. You gotta let it release. You gotta let the hives release, because that's your body releasing the demons. And it's painful in the beginning because you've held on to those demons for such a long fucking time. And when you hold on to those demons and you have a closed lymph nodes, that's when you get all the breast cancer. That's when you get all the lymphomas. That's when you get all the leukemias. That's where you get all the different diseases that then the system. So when you're stopping your body from releasing, and then you're feeling crazy, and the system's like doing experiments on you with all of their different therapies, or you have people selling you shit all over the internet with the herbs and stuff, causing more reproduction and replication. Then the person's even far worse than where they were to begin with, or they just could have fucking released. But no, they listen to all of their religious friends, all of their mainstream friends selling them everything under the fucking sun, or selling them an operation, or selling them a therapy. And then these people are even in a worse mess later on down the road when they have so many demons to release, and then there's nothing to them, so the demons have taken over, so they're literally possessed. Doesn't mean that they're going to do anything bad. It just means that their life force has been drained. The possession has finally taken hold. That's what's in the nursing homes. Is that all people are possessed by all of those juvenile cells that have completely ravaged their body, their mind, and their spirit, and they can't talk. They can barely even eliminate. They can't even eat on their own. They can barely even eat food. And the medical system compounds that situation. The holistic system compounds that situation. And then people are left a gelatinous blob or the crypt keeper. And that's so sad that we've allowed the people that we claim to love to get in that position. That's why I speak out, because I know what I've dealt with the last 7 years, and even more so, especially the last 3 years, and even this last July. And I'm like, why is July so significant? Because the last July, that formal turning on, the ritual of turning on CERN or increasing its energy, because CERN has always been used. Particle acceleration has always been used. But they knew that climate change, that happened in 2019, was going to get things going, and then CERN was going to even be more significant last July. And so it was. I was like feeling like I was fucking on death's door last July. But I got over it, got through it, released the demons. And then this last July, like almost yesterday, I felt the same energy. But I was able to work through it. I was able to go hang out in West Virginia with my husband through it. I was able to do Facebook Lives almost every day through it. All I was doing is blowing my nose, releasing the demons. I'd have the headaches, yes. But it's significantly less torture this July. That tells you releasing demons is not something instantaneous. It is a progressive thing that you have to face and be committed to. And you have to eat. But you're home free. The way you're going to fucking save yourself, the way you're going to be heads and shoulders above everyone in your world, is the fact you understand your alimentary canal. Again, it's not just eating all the food. It's then no more alcohol. No more smoking cigarettes eventually. No more drugs. No more all the fucking distractions. Now you have to, when you finally eat all the food, because when you're on the alcohol and the drugs and hardly any sleeping and doing so much work, your body is not going to be able to bring up the pressure to release those little damaged cells that are going to be torturing you now or later. So then you have to gain weight. But I finally lost the mass that I was dealing with this last July, because I felt like I was pregnant. I felt like so huge. My belly was huge. Everything was huge in my body in July. Everything was. It's only within the last couple of days where I feel like a relatively normal person. I still have more weight to me, yes, than I did last year. but I don't feel nearly as bloated as I did this last month. Oh, I'll tell you. And that saved my life, to deal with that bloat, to deal with being uncomfortable, to deal with taking on all of the ice cream, the cream, and all that yogurt. What else did I buy before that I stopped buying? I didn't buy this time. I guess it was, no, it's like yogurt. Anyways, yeah, so, I mean, it was a lot of the ice cream. I don't really want the ice cream now at night too much. But before, it was like ice cream cone after ice cream cone after ice cream cone. And that was the fat that my body needed to go through that process of releasing those allergens. And so if you're not gaining the weight and gaining the pressure and feeling everything you need to feel so your body can release, what people do, they starve their body, or they take the J juice, or they go and try to find a way to energize that release process away. I'm saying, if you're not feeling shit in this environment where you are almost down for the count and you're not taking in the massive amounts of milk and cream and ice cream, then yeah, your body is cannibalizing itself. If you're still doing the alcohol and the drugs and all that stuff in the J world, yeah, you're feeding the demons. You're not feeding yourself, you're feeding the demons. And so, I got dry skin. All right. So your body controls how many juvenile cells are allowed to exist. When you stop your body from releasing, those cancer cells stay stuck in your body. Working immune systems never have to use anything in the remedies world, and they don't even require a vaccine, okay? Compromised immune systems can't handle energy no matter what. And the issue with everyone is they collect everything, they hoard history in their body, and they hold excessive children in their body, collecting allergens, collecting history and offspring. They hoard history and history's offspring, and that's why people are a mess. And so I'm saying, don't be greedy. Because when you're collecting children and you're collecting allergens in your body and you're collecting people and places and things and objects, it's like a greed. And that's the thing, when people are so compromised by their families, they're hoarding and greedy for all of their energy. And then how do they build themselves up when they're constantly giving away their energy and then trying to feed off of people who keep taking more from them and more from them? And they don't relax. Even if they eat the food, they have to be under the influence. And they're always they're always awoke. They're always awake. Jesus Christ. And barely sleeping. And they're working so hard. And so, yeah, it's tough when you're a slave to people around you. That's why when you release the demons literally out of your body, so you're not a slave to their addictions and their wants and their needs, and that's what these demons in the body are like, that act like your friends and family. And so when you're not a slave to the demons in your body, and you're not a slave to your friends and family, imagine how much of your life you'll get back. That's what people don't realize when they're around so many people all the time. When they are so addicted to all the energy around them, that's all the demons within that are projecting out and tractor beaming the likeness. And so that's that whole feedback loop that never ends until somebody weaker dies, until they both die. That's the mutually assured destruction in families. I'm serious. When I release those demons out of my body, and I release the demons around me, when you think about it, that were taking up so much of my energy, life got so much better. Like literally, life got so much better and relaxed. And my husband and I have a better relationship because we don't have all those demons around interjecting their way and that's the thing. And so that's what it takes for your relationships to work. When you release the demons around you, if you have a relationship with a husband or a wife, okay, it's the demons around you that are going to take from that relationship. And then you have to work harder to bring that relationship back to relative equilibrium. And I'm not stronger than the people out there. So then if I can't fight those fights with people out there without them cannibalizing the fuck out of me, then I release the demons and let me and my husband just do what we got to do. And I can handle the energy that we have right now because it's mature and it's perfect the way I want it to be. And so that's why it's so important that, that the people that you surround yourself with. It's very important to know who it is you have around you. Okay? And so, and I could be very influential, so I could be completely detrimental to somebody else. So sometimes the person that knows, when you have that resistance with people, it's because you're not only, deadly to them as far as energy, but they're deadly to you. So then you have to part ways. It's not just me like, oh my God, everyone's the enemy. No, I could be just as influential and could cause so much energy in someone else's world that are not prepared for it. So when you know that's happening, then you have to walk away. That's if you know it's happening. If you don't know it, then you'll just take on all these energies and always be in conflict with people and not realize you're being cannibalized and you're cannibalizing somebody else. And then it's a mutually assured destruction. That's family. Mutually assured destruction, because love wins. Love conquers all. Literally, love conquers all, and it conquers people who are in love if the respect isn't paramount. So yeah, love conquers all. Absolutely does. Love fucking kicks everybody's ass. That's family. Mutually assured destruction. Collecting people, collecting places, collecting things, collecting followers. So I say, don't be greedy. So let me go back to this Van Helsing thing on, because I missed this part. And that's why most mothers will not understand where I'm coming from, because they've collected children, they've collected their friends or family. They don't understand where I'm coming from because they're in it. And they're addicted to the energy they get, and they're addicted to giving away their energy to everybody else. Van Helsing, I'm watching that, oh my God. Watch Van Helsing from the perspective of the J world. You'll now get where I'm coming from. Where serial killers come from, where bullies come from, where deadly people who even cannibalize animals, and I'm saying like eat them, but collect so many animals. Okay? So much that people have done things to each other. The religion has done to people what mothers and fathers have done to their sons, what people have done to other people as far as bullying them personally. All right? And so not only does Van Helsing show you what happens, why the deadly vampires become deadly. It's because of, not only do they show you what happens as far as violence in their community and violence to them in their family, but then also when you finally turn from being a vampire to a human, and there's someone that you turned, okay? So there's this guy named Julius that was a vampire, and so there was Julius as a vampire that, so Julius is a vampire, sorry, and he was turned by Vanessa back to a human. But before he was turned by Vanessa to be human, he went and turned this guy named Fletcher. Okay? And so then Fletcher went and killed his family and did some horrible things to his family as he was a vampire. Then he got turned by Vanessa to be human again. And so then Julius, who turned Fletcher, who is now a human, and Fletcher, who used to be a vampire, is now human. Now they're interacting together, and Fletcher hates Julius. He hates Julius so much because of what Julius turned him into and caused him to be like, because of the vampire bite and turned him into a vampire. And so then I'm like, oh shit, I know exactly what they're saying. When people get their humanity back, it is brutal. Remembering what you did or what you used to be like. Desensitized to death and suffering, and even causing suffering. Yes, my head is itchy right now, okay? My God. And so that's the thing. When you finally release those demons of destruction, addiction, needing so much love, needing so much adoration, needing so many animals around you, needing to go and feed off the energy in your environment, needing to collect so many things. And then when you don't know anything, then you go and give your animal to somebody who will then butcher it with all the medical holistic energy healing shit. So when people get their humanity back, it's fucking brutal. Remembering what you used to be like, cannibalizing people's energies on such a level, taking up their time, their space, making them work for you on so many different levels, collecting so many animals and all their souls are on your mantle because you couldn't keep them alive because you kept giving them antibiotics and surgeries. But people who have animals don't even look at that. They want to enjoy the fun part of the animal. But what it means to be a human is to keep them alive, not let them just die because you couldn't handle the evolution. When you finally realize how fucked up that is, it'll be brutal. But most people will not face that, and they will die in that desensitized, inhumane way of animals and humans and children, right? Of how they treated animals, humans, and children. And so that's what I had to face my humanity when my dog died. Because even though I never took her to the vet, but I still support that for other people. But then when I saw the surgeries and I saw what happened to her through the vet system, when all of that facade wore away, when she was trying to come back again and I'm feeding her meat, milk, cheese, egg, everything. Oh my God. Then you see how inhumane humans are today, not only in the medical industry, not only in the surgical industry, but in the veterinary industry. And then those that have animals and those that have children, utilizing all of those services. When they wake up to that shit, holy fuck. That's where people might die from the remorse. They die from that awareness because it's fucked up. When you finally wake up to the medical, holistic, energy healing veterinary system, it's all fucked up. And so Van Helsing says, when people get their humanity back, when you finally admit that you've participated in such a fucked up, brutal system, remembering what you used to be like, desensitized to death and suffering, then you have to face everything that you've done to yourself and the world. And I will tell you, most people on my Facebook are not even fucking close to that. Not even close. That's why I'm like, I think that the J world will be a minority for a long ass fucking time. Because there's people on my Facebook that still, even in the J world, still haven't come up to that point. And we're like, holy shit, what did I contribute to? What did I support for so many years? And then when you finally see all what you've done, when you think about it, then you're like, shit, I am so sorry. I'm sorry to all the people that I've wronged, right? That's like the whole 12-step program in the AA. But that's in the context of alcohol. What alcohol has done to you, what alcohol made you be like, and hurt people and all that stuff. And so you go through the 12 steps. So in a lot of ways, when you think about getting your humanity back as far as the J world, not just from alcohol, then you're like, oh God, what did I do wrong to this person? And so, so that's the thing, is that you don't necessarily have to say it all over Facebook. And even you don't even have to say it to the person you think you wronged, because you may say it in different ways. But I mean, I know I've come to face the terms, even a long time ago, with both my sister and I, and how we grew up. And I try to tell her, oh shit, I'm sorry, but then I realized why we were made to fight each other, made to destroy each other. It was the psychological programming, and then the outcomes from that psychological programming. And I mean, I feel bad, but when you're kids, right? Could I get mad at my parents? No, because they're scientists. What do you fucking say to scientists? That was their intention, to see how shit happened. So then you're just like, okay, so then you realize how fucked up the world is. And there's no amount of sorries and, oh my God, I apologize, are we going to fix the world? So then you point out everything. You point out everything that's fucked up, and you hope people finally get it. You hope that they face their humanity. They hope they find a way to get that redemption. I don't even say absolution, where they finally redeem themselves. And I don't know what it will take for people to get their redemption. That's up to them. But we live in a fucked up world. A lot of scientists doing experiments and people doing fucked up things to each other, and they will never face it, ever. Or they will, and they will have to really question everything. And then when you finally face your humanity, And so, yeah, when my dog was dying that one day and I was staring outside, sitting on my bed, staring outside, and I was just crying. I was just crying because of just the world that we live in. I tried to save her. I really fucking did. It was just the most... That's what clicked for me. We have built in desensitization to death. We've built in completely a blind eye to suffering. I really tried to save her. I figured, okay, that she can suffer, but maybe she'll come back from it. Maybe that... We weren't built for that. We were not built for that kind of damage, which is from the veterinary system doing what they do to the animals, so that way the humans can have an animal for a minute and then just throw them away when they're not useful. That's how fucked up our world is. And when you sit down and look at how fucked up the world is, then how do you hang out with people who are still buying into that shit? How do you have a relationship with people who are ghosts, who will never look at that, who are suffering astronomically? How do you have a relationship with people like that? And so then you just figure out how to straddle both worlds and survive it and try to thrive in it. But when it's all around you, it's messed up. It's a suffering like no other. And right now, we're in a world right now where people are suffering and they will do horrific things to each other and themselves. And you can't convert them. You can only just bring awareness to it, and that's it. They'll read it or they won't. So, Van Helsing, watch that on Netflix. Watch it. It's a little bit brutal, but you'll see what they're trying to tell you. Why monsters were created in our society. Why monsters were created. From the violence in the genes, from all the pharmaceuticals and the herbal extracts and all the hallucinogenic drugs, and the violence in the home, the violence in the community, the violence everywhere. And then all the positive and negative reinforcement. Killing you with kindness and love. And, oh God, Van Helsing. Oh. So that, the Vampire Diaries, Van Helsing, Twilight, look at all the vampire shows today from the perspective of the J world. And then you'll be like, fuck, I get it now. And then in Van Helsing, there was these electric vampires. Right now, Vanessa's in Chinatown in San Francisco in this episode. And these vampires have these electric eyes that are glowing, and they're sending off these frequencies and causing them to hold on to their head. I was like, oh my God, that can't be any more in your fucking face. Hello? Human DNA is being controlled by electricity. And when they want to release the demons, raise the heat, people will be grabbing their heads. And they probably won't even survive their own immune system because of what kind of damage they've sustained over time through all of their traditions. Oh, it's in your face. They're telling you, okay? Through allegory. Van Helsing, electric vampires. And so I notice the environment, my hair is getting a little bit is getting thinner. Well, I mean, you look at my hair. But then you see all the white hairs and everything. Believe me, it's not as thick as it was a couple years ago. And then I got my hair cut. I mean, it's growing, but it's not growing fast like it used to. It's like when I do the conditioner, I'm pulling out hair. I'm pulling out hair right now. Okay? So I notice in my environment, my hair is getting thinner. My DNA is changing in this environment. This very accelerated environment. And so I don't do any medical, holistic, energy healing bullshit. I eat all food. I deal with all the symptoms by releasing demons without taking away substance or compromising my immune system. And I rest and I sleep. But the last few days, I didn't have to take a nap at midday and deal with the heartbeats. I mean, I deal with the heartbeats and I feel the energy, especially after I eat. Like there's a lot of cream in this. But when I eat like food, like hamburger and stuff, or any kind of food, whether it's macaroni and cheese or pasta or whatever, the last few weeks I've been feeling the heartbeats every time I ate. Okay, so I know my immune system is kicking in and processing the food so I can release the demons. And in a highly aggressive environment, the demons get released faster. So after I eat a food and I have to go and release, I'm like, oh my God. But that's the body going through its processes very quickly. Like time is moving very quickly right now, extremely quickly. And so, And so my heartbeat does beat faster sometimes. In this environment, everything is accelerated, even my digestion. And so I noticed yesterday, after I did my Facebook Live, I ate a hamburger and then my heart was beating faster. And then 2 hours after that, I had to poop. Now I didn't sleep. Okay, I haven't been taking any naps the last couple of days. But I had to poop, and then it was fast digestion, and everything came out perfectly fine, and no watery or anything. So my whole system is online, and everything is working the way it's supposed to. All right? And so when doctors ask you, when did you poop? When doctors ask you for a fecal sample, when doctors ask you, how does your stomach feel? They know the importance of releasing. They know how much of those demons torture people inside. Okay? And so, but you have to eat substantial food in order to release the demons, or else become the demons housed in your body. So again, when you're skinny, super skinny, for you to relax, if you're hyperactive, for you to release those trauma cells that you know are in your body, because you know you came from trauma, you know you've done trauma to yourself once you realize what herbs and extracts and everything else does, and everything you've gone through in your life, and you're super skinny, you have to gain the weight so you can release those damaged cells and repair the damage. And then who knows? I see people know what they feel like. They know where they came from. They know what kind of trauma they've been in. They know all the shit that they've been dealing with. And so if you're super skinny, you have to gain the weight and the pressure. So that way you have something to rely on when you're releasing those demons. Or else you release the demons, you release yourself. That's what happens with skinny people. They take a shit, like Vicky said, take a shit and they die, right? Well, that's not really going to happen. Well, it might. That's why you have to gain the weight. That's why you have to eventually release all the things that cause more demons in your body. The drugs, the alcohol, all these crazy distractions. Okay? And so, not everybody does horrible things when they allow the demons to stay in their body. They just lose life force, or they just die suddenly. That's what you're seeing all over the world right now. People are dying suddenly because the demons in their body were never allowed to release, and they became so numerous in energy conversion, and it was just like instantaneous growth, and that growth busted through the arteries and capillaries and caused an aneurysm, caused a stroke or heart failure, and there they go, done. Or liver failure or kidney failure, okay? And so that's what happens in this kind of environment when people do not reinforce their arteries and capillaries and all of their vital organs, because they're starving themselves and they're taking all the different herbs and extracts to stop the body from releasing. So that's how fast my body processes everything. That's why I come to conclusions and connections much faster, and I'm not weighed down by the post-traumatic genetic history. So when you are aging out, when you're really, really skinny and you're aging out, or you're so gelatinous, okay? So I won't say Jabba the jellyfish, okay? I'll just say gelatinous because it's nice, it's nicer. But when you're so skinny, or you're so gelatinous, you are holding in so much post-traumatic genetic history that you have failed to release. When you hold all that post-traumatic stressful history in your DNA and in your body, you will age aggressively, and it will be very difficult to teach you anything, if at all. And so you see those who are aging out very quickly, having a hard time with my information. Either they're very gelatinous, or they're bigger, or they are so skinny that only a few things get to them, but not too much. Because they're so overrun by the demons, the trauma demons, that are keeping them in that loop. Okay? And so there was this post on WebMD about urticaria, the hives, and they're like, oh, we have a solution for all the hives, right? And so I was saying, the hives that I've been dealing with since 2020, because I never had hives before 2021 or 2022 when I had that full-on attack and where I had to lay in bed because I was so energetic from the frequency change and things were happening in my body. And so I had all these hives on my front, and I'm like, oh my God, my husband's like, dude. So I went to bed and that was it. But they've been coming back, systematically and progressively the last few years, every single frequency change. So I said, the hives have been coming up the last 3 years. In 2021 or 2022 or whatever, they were the worst. They came back every so often the last few years, and then this last July, they came up again, and now they've mostly disappeared. So I don't have any itchies on my ass, I don't have any itchies on my back or on my arm or anything. I'm not itching anywhere right now. I'm actually doing really well, okay? And so And so they came up again, and now they're mostly disappeared. And now they're gone. I don't have anything today. I just eat food and release. I have a lot of allergens in my body, and they need to leave the body. They are seeing their way out, and I'm not trying to stop them from leaving, because they'll only try to leave again, and maybe the next time it'll be really worse, or whatever stuck in my body will torture me while turning into another condition that must be treated yet again. And then it becomes a never-ending loop until you pass away. And that's what happens when you're always treating all of your different symptoms, whether it's topical or whether it's internal. That's your body releasing, and if you keep treating those symptoms, they will double back and they will fucking kick your ass later on when all the conditions are right. And that's what's happening in the medical, holistic, energy healing world. Those systems are stopping the body from releasing. And so people supernova. They turn into a red giant. What is a red giant? It's a star that's about to fucking explode and become a black hole. That's what happens to people out there that are holding so much of the damaged crap in their body. And their body's trying to release through the rashes, through the urticaria, the hives, through all the different feelings of energy. And so they become so under pressure, then they explode, and their heart can't take it. Neither can their liver. Neither can their kidneys. Neither can their lungs. And people die from that kind of shit. And so I will suffer from my genetic line and the sins of the father. Because I have no idea what's in my biological parent's genetic line. I was taught by my adoptive parents all the things to destroy your body through chemicals, which is through all the prescription drugs and the herbs. Because herbs are chemicals too. Cannabis is a chemical. All the detoxes, all the supplements are chemicals. Everything's a chemical out there, and it's all about how you use those chemicals against your body or for your body. And when you're using chemicals against your system, your body's going to rebel against you. And so I will suffer from my genetic line and the sins of my father, and I will also suffer for the bad choices I made the last 49 years, even if it wasn't me making the choice, it was my parents making the choice. Giving me the steroid creams to stop the rashes, giving me all the different Claritin and all the different drugs, the Triaminic, the Benadryl, oh, what else? You know, the amoxicillin, all the things that the parents give to their kids so they don't fucking release. All the things that people give to each other because they're like, oh, I'm going to be your savior and give you an herb and give you an extract and a detox, okay? I will release all of that. I will suffer from the bad choices I made the last 49 years, learning extremely hard lessons, and then releasing the demons like I did the last 7 fucking years. And I release my demons all over goddamn Facebook. In my videos, on Dr. Phil, what else? My Facebook Lives, in the court system. And I wanted to go up against people, but no one wanted to go and fight me in fucking court. Nobody did. I don't understand why. Because you could have fucking won if you showed up. Because I was reacting emotionally. You probably had a leg to stand on. You were afraid I was going to do something to them or something, or they just didn't want to show up because I don't know. I'm not psycho, but I also was getting so much fucking crap from the world out there. I had to find a way to protect myself. And yeah, just like an animal that puffs up his chest so they look bigger, right? But now I have the court system behind me. Now I have, the FBI and the police force and all the different agencies because they know who I am. They watch me all the fucking time. I know my police force here. I mean, I don't know them personally, but they know who I am because I've been around them for a while the last few years, okay? The Humane Society knows me. Not that I'm getting any more animals from them or anything, or any animal for that fact. But that's what I'm saying. So anyways, so I learned extremely hard lessons releasing my demons. And when you channel releasing those demons and things that are that you just feel you need to do, okay, make sure it's not destructive to you. Make sure it's through the law. Make sure it's not destructive to you, your children, your animals, or anybody. And eventually when you release those demons, you feel like, oh, you learned a lot during that process because you channeled your energy towards reading the law or learning the system the way it is. And then you never repeat those mistakes ever again. And so I learned so much about the court system. I learned so much about the Federal Trade Commission, how they advertise stuff. I learned so much about the medical system through the sciences. I learned so much through language and English because I channeled all that angst and all of that. I'm going to prove everything through education. And so that's what I offered you guys. Channel whatever angst and shit's going on in you through something that's going to fucking serve you and educate you and give you a leg up And so keep you out of fucking hot water, and then not victimizing animals and children and your friends and family, and you're not riding on relying on everybody to get you by. That you can actually show that you have some kind of self-reliance. See, I don't ask my Facebook community anything. I do all my own fucking research. Whether it's learn how to make a cake or learn how to do something, I don't fucking need to ask my Facebook, oh yeah, how do you do this? I just go and Google my shit myself. I ask Bing, and they give me all these different websites. Okay? I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's like, I don't have to do that. And when people have to do that, then it's that need for social capital. It's that need for that kind of connection. Well, everybody has their needs. How do you get connection? See, I get my connection this way. I guess they get their connection that way. But I mean, at some point, when do people become teachers to themselves? Well, that's not what they want. I'll tell you, the power isn't articulating. The power is knowing how to research and paraphrasing what you research. That's the power. That is so amazing. And then you practice that power. And then you have these awarenesses that, oh my God, when you hear yourself, geez, and then you make these connections so much quicker. But I guess, I don't know. I have a lot more desire to understand the world and to understand myself. I have a lot of desire to do that. And I have no one really to answer except for my husband. And even then, I have a lot of latitude because I give him a lot of latitude to do whatever the fuck he wants. So as long as it's not harming ourselves and our finances. Okay, so I've set myself free to be able to have a lot of latitude to say what I need to say and learn what I need to learn. People are still in the jail of image, still in the jail of what it's going to look like to their friends and family. When you finally release the demons and you finally release all of that, those jail bars, I can only imagine what you'll turn into as an amazing person to not only educate yourself, but the world around you and make it better. Because we don't want to say anything about anything. You don't teach anybody anything. How are you making the world better? At all. How do you make the world better? Well, you have to fucking speak. And not just saying, oh yeah, look, watch out for this and watch out for that. But how do you understand the world through your eyes that also has a conceptual foundation point from science? So you're not just speaking all story, but you're actually bringing in hard facts of physics and chemistry. And so, yeah, the world needs more teachers who are willing to just risk. The world needs more teachers that are not always, henny penny, the world's fucking ending. The sky is falling. The sky is falling. Oh, that's where that came from. Henny penny, the sky is falling. That was a system. Saying one day there's going to be people on Facebook that's going to say the sky is falling. And I'll look at your Facebook. Like, I already know the sky has been falling for years. It's just accelerated. The sky always has been falling for fucking years. But now you can make the connection that there's some intention behind it. Doesn't mean you can't survive it. But Henny Penny is like, oh my God, what is this? The story. Look up the story of Henny Penny. The sky is falling. The sky is falling. Anyways, all right. So that's my advice to all of my people. It's gonna take a while for you to finally find your voice, and I know it's a lot. But I'll tell you, when you put your mind to stuff that is educational and you understand it yourself and you know how to talk about it, that's a freedom. And it's not Henny Penny, the sky is falling, and here I have a solution called an herb or an extract. When you know how to speak about things, without speaking about things, without being totally technical, because sometimes technical can be really yucky. That's why I say my method in my book, I don't use the J juice. There's a method in my book, and I eat all food. If you want to know the method in my book, it's $5, or it's 20 or 30 if you want to have the physical version in your hands, right? And so you can speak about stuff without actually speaking about certain things, without compromising yourself, make it look funny. But I'll tell you, people have a lot to say, and they just don't have the outlet for it. And so what does it come through? What does it channel through? Henny Penny, or everything's great, or look at my cute little puppy. Okay. Anyways, And so then we'll see what happens after I suffer through my genetic line. But I know I have a lot of history in my DNA, and I have a lot to come back from. And I also must catch up to this environment, okay? And food is the only answer for me. And also the type of release process outlined in my book. And it's not the J juice, all right? And so my release process has saved my life and my sanity every single time my body had to release, and it kept me in my bed for days and days and days. That's why I don't have a diagnosable condition. And I can eat all food, because that's the most important, all right? Your body needs all food. Your body needs meat, your body needs milk or cream, your body needs fat, your body needs gluten, your body needs carbohydrates, your body needs sugar, your body needs electrolytes. So when people are like staying away from meat, and they're big people, and so their husband or wife are on these different diets because they have hypertension and they have all these different things because they have a closed system. They haven't pulled out the shit out of their ass and released the demons and keep eating food and feeling the feelings of heart beating and higher blood pressure. And so you keep drinking water and eating food to help your high blood pressure. So you have people who are staying away from food, and they are weakening their heart. They're weakening their lungs. They're weakening their everything. And so one day when there's an energy conversion coming in, and they don't really have the infrastructure to handle that energy conversion, then they die from a heart attack and a stroke. That's what's going on right now when people are doing all of that starvation, food mitigation. You need the meat. Juicing is not going to fucking help you. People still died from all these juicing clinics because they're starving. And when you have so much to you, right? And some cultures have a lot more to them. They're bigger. Then you have to pull out that shitty ass programming. That's what your issue is. You're full of shit. Taking away food is not going to fucking help you. You're full of shit. And doing the J juice is not going to help either, because that's going to just only cure you and then close all the doors as that juice is going through your system, curing everything. And when you cure your alimentary canal from releasing, then you're trapping those little beasts inside. They're going to do more damage to you. So what you got to do, you got to open up your alimentary canal. You got to cough, sneeze, and blow your nose and pull out that fucking shit. And if you're so averse to doing it, you're going to gain so much pressure, so much pressure, and so much pressure. You're going to starve yourself. And so the things inside you are going to go, they're going to double and triple in energy and in replication. And then supernova, gone with the wind, literally. And so if your body is deficient, it will rebel against you, and it will punish you. And people are experiencing that right now. If not now, they will later. If I had not conditioned my body to release the way I've trained it to do, I would have been in the hospital with a cancer or a lymphoma or leukemia or some kind of ovarian cancer. I know what I dodged. Oh my God, I know what I dodged. That's why I don't stop speaking, because I'm also condition myself to speak in a way where I can write it in my book and organize my thoughts. Got to figure out what I got to focus on, because there's so much. And how do you organize all your thoughts? Well, you have to speak and get your mind and your body and your spirit and everything all aligned with the information. And it's because I dodged a major cancer bullet, and I dodged being tortured to death by my bad choices and genetic history, because the demons would have destroyed me. And right now, the demons are destroying people out there right now. But remember, people are under the influence, so they don't feel it. But they're falling apart. That much I know, and I'm sure of. You all saw me release my demons the last 7 years, and they were aggressive, and they held no prisoners. Once you release your demons, and then you become a whole person with all food, you'll be able to finally relax and breathe again. No fear, really, unless you really need to be because of people who are bad out there, right? No anxiety, and you'll be able to handle seasons changing, because right now they are changing constantly, and people are dropping like flies because of it. And then you'll stop relying on people to protect you from disease, and you'll finally stop blaming people for giving you disease, right? Because that's the worst, when you have to depend upon somebody or blame somebody, because it shows you have absolutely no idea how to control your world, and that's a fucked up position to be in. Constantly dependent on people to save you or blame them for destroying you. That's the anti-V world. They have no idea how to control their own immune system, so they blame the Vs, when really it's all of their remedies and everything that they already believed in. The Vs gave them life, and the remedies took away life. And so they're in a constant war with themselves. And that's why they're going to deteriorate if you stay stuck in the anti-V world. VACCINE. And so You don't ever want to be in the position of having to depend upon someone or blame someone for anything in your world, because it's hard on you and the world around you. And so there are many lessons out there from our elders. Learn from your parents what to do, what not to do. And you hope you have discernment. And so, yeah, the Mrs. Frisbee and the Rats of Nim, which are books that were written in the 1980s based upon the experiments that John B. Calhoun did. And there's a rat that was erected in the square out there in Russia that was honoring all the rats that died from all the lab experiments. And of course, you had to figure out, you put a person up there. A person who could be black or white or Indian or Hispanic or whatever, or Asian. That is a representation of all the human experiments that were out there. Okay, so that rat represents even people. How many people have died from human experimentation? How many rats have died from rat experimentation? How many dogs have died from all the dog experiments? Right? And all of you experimenting on each other with all the herbs and extracts and detoxes. And so what the lab does, what scientists do, are no different than all the holistic people doing the same shit to each other, recommending each other all the things that they have no idea how it's going to affect that person's body. And you see it all over in the anti-V world. You see it in the holistic world. You see it all over your Facebook when your friends are like, oh yeah, take this, take that, take away this, don't eat that. You're experimenting on your friends and family. See, I was experimenting on myself. And I wasn't experimenting on my dog because I wasn't going to do my dog to the death agency, but eventually I had to. But I, in the beginning, the J world was like, we knew salt wasn't poison. People were feeling shit. We didn't really know what that meant until we finally did all the research. Then I pulled back, said no more taking away symptoms. Encourage symptoms and feed them. That's what the whole point of the J world is. You encourage the symptoms to come up and you don't try to stop it and cure it. That's why you can't recommend cures. And then you feed the energy. That's the solution to the J world. We don't stop symptoms. We don't cure symptoms. And so people on Facebook right now are trying to stop each other's growth, trying to stunt each other's life and evolution. And that's the depopulation agenda. Just look at your Facebook. Look at the anti-V people and look at all the holistic and allopathic people and all the surgeries. That's the depopulation agenda, is your friends and your family recommending you to keep curing your life and taking you out bit by bit, progressively. And that's called mutually assured destruction. And that's in family, that's in friends, that's in associations, until you learn how to stand on your own 2 fucking feet. And I will tell you, most people on my Facebook cannot stand on their own 2 fucking feet. And so, if you can't face the pain of my information and my thought process, there's no fucking way you'll be able to face your own demons. I'm the indicator of what you can perceive, or what you perceive you can handle or not handle. And I'm not putting my hands on you. I'm not sending you any messages. And I'm not sending you any mailers. I'm just a representation. Because I still get mailers. I get mailers from Jehovah's Witnesses right now. Since they don't come to your door anymore because of COVID, now they just send you all these handwritten things. But here, come join the... What? That's stalking people. That's religious conversion. That's not okay. But people make it okay. Because they're all about force converting people. Manipulating them into submission. That's the medical industry. That's the holistic industry. That's religion. That's politics. And that's science dogmas. All right? So if I'm just representation, you don't like my representation, then fucking block and delete me. All right? And so climate change is not just a programming. Oh, climate change is not just the government modifying your weather. It's also like hell week in basic training. The TIs, I was in basic training, either made your life hell, right? They turned up the heat in the place, turned off the air conditioning or whatever, and made you do all this work, like get up at 3 in the morning and mopping the stuff and doing whatever. Or someone fucked up in the flight. And so then you all were punished So no different than your neighbor crashing into a telephone pole and taking out the electricity in the whole neighborhood, suffering from your community. And so, yeah, the climate's going to change, whether it's the weather, of course, or somebody crashes into a telephone pole and takes out the electricity so you don't have any AC, you don't have any heat. So do you have firewood? Do you have matches? Do you have food? All right? I mean, climate change is just, can you handle anything potentially catastrophic where you don't have to rely on your infrastructure as far as your community infrastructure? You have relative self-sufficiency. You don't have to be out there off gridding. But I mean, in your house, do you have fire for wood? Do you have enough body to you so you can stay warm or cool you off when it is hot? And so, I'll open my door now. So when it's hot, like when I was climbing up those stairs in West Virginia and it was fucking hot, my whole face was perspiring, my whole body. My husband's like, oh my God, are you fucking dying? No, my body's working the way it's supposed to. It's perspiring. I have enough substance to me to release the demons, right? Not so much demons as in the bad thing, but I had enough water in my body to then cool my body off so it doesn't overheat. But when you hardly have anything to you, when you don't have a good release process and your respiratory or your perspiration glands don't work really because you're afraid to sweat, then all that heat is trapped into you like a Faraday cage and then you boil to death. So when someone's so skinny and they're in the heat, they're not going to fucking survive. Or when someone's bigger and then the heat has activated their immune system where they're drinking so much water and they drown themselves. That's why you have to reinforce your infrastructure, because you have to then know how to navigate your daily activity, your weekly activity, your weekend activities, even the climates that are going on with so much heat and so much coldness. You've got to know how to survive those conditions. So you not only have to have the body for it, but is your house reinforced enough? Do you have the things you need to keep you alive when the infrastructure goes down temporarily? And that's what people, they're like taking for granted the heat in the wintertime. They take for granted all the AC in the summertime. Oh, believe me, I don't take this shit for granted at all. I have a basement that's cooler, but I'm on the 3rd floor over here, okay? It's hotter up here, but I have the AC on. I'm not living in my basement. If I have to live in my basement, I will. And so I have the 3 different levels of climate in my body, or not in my body, but in my house. So there's a lot of heat upstairs, way up there in the basement, or in the attic, and there's a lot of coolness in the basement. And so you're going to have to figure out if you can live without some of the things if they ever happen. When your community gets all crazy and they crash into telephone poles and transformers. We've had that happen. I haven't had any electricity go off. Okay, and I don't know how long. So knock on wood, right? And so, can you handle all types of climate change? Or just plain change, right? That's why you must build up your internal infrastructure so your climate control is not always guaranteed to stay on, because shit happens. All right? And so I'm ready to lose everything. If a flood comes through, I'm ready to lose it all. I have absolutely no connection or no real expectation and connection to any material stuff. Okay? And so if shit happens, I'm okay with shit happening. I'm not going to be devastated by it. I'm not going to be bemoaning it. I'll try to save whatever papers I have and my computer. But even then, that's all, can be replaced. But so when I see there's indicators of something, I will save myself. And I don't have anything to hold me back. I don't have anything to hold me down. My husband is relatively self-sufficient. He's strong-ass motherfucker. I'm strong. I don't have any animals. I don't have any children. I don't have anyone that depends upon me to save them. And that's ultimate freedom, when you can save yourself. But when you have an animal to save, when you have a child to save, especially in this crazy times, and you have elderly to save, oh my God, you will be held back by them and even possibly be drowned by them if you have to make a choice. And you don't want to make that choice, so you just die with them. Because you couldn't possibly even fathom living without them. See, that's a jail. That's why the system is trying to now tell you it's okay to be on your own. It's okay not to have everyone and your mother around you. It's okay not to have kids. It's okay. It's okay to survive on your own. It's okay to be on your own. And so I'm ready to lose everything. I do not assume everything is going to stay perfect. So it is so important to build up your biophysical survivability. Now you see, okay? So now you see how I have this whole ongoing love and hate with my mother, right? There's a lot of things, but I respect with my mother. She's fucking smart. Like, seriously, fucking smart. And she also pissed me off so many times, and I'm sure I pissed her off so many times. And even then, all this shit coming up, we know that it's not, there's not going to be any relationship even now. What's the point now, right? We're not friends. She's my mother. She did what she had to do to raise me, to make me survive, and that's about it. We're not friends. I get it. And that's the issue right now with kids and with parents, is they're friends. And so when you have friends, what do? You don't say anything. You don't really, I mean, it's very difficult. And if you did have kids that respected you, they're like, yeah, okay, whatever. It's like, did you train them really to survive? Because even now, when they're already been programmed for death, will they really understand? We'll see. And so now you see why I didn't like my mother for many years, right? Because she didn't give a shit if I perceived what she was doing was correct. She was correct. Even though I'm like, she's not like other parents, and their other parents are doing this and buying this and giving this and paying for this and doing this. And well, let me tell you, my mother was not like any other mother out there. When I was in school, I was wearing health tech's balloon pants with the little, things at the bottom that were tight, elastic things at the bottom. And it was just like, and then the other girls were wearing Esprit and they were wearing Guess, and they're like, ew, look at you wearing those jeans or wearing those pants and wearing this, and you're wearing baby clothes. And I'm like, oh my God. Oh yeah. And so I was not wearing the same things as my peers. And they were all wearing all the latest shit. Their parents bought them everything under the sun, bought them this, bought them that. And so, yeah. And so she definitely made me suffer and not conforming to my peers. That's what pissed me off. But now it's a gift. But I didn't realize that back then, because I was suffering back then. But you suffer when you're a kid with all the things you have to suffer to survive. The feelings of people hating you because you're different and looking at you because you're different or acting different. But when shit changes in the future and you're not conforming to everyone that's doing the pills, the powder, substance, the drugs, the alcohol, the sex, when you're not conforming to your community in self-destructive behavior, that's going to fucking save your life. But if you don't know this, and I don't even know how much she knew about this either. I have no idea what this. So I have to just thank her for whatever she instilled in me as a child. And so then I would have maybe enough resources as an adult to save my own life when the time came. And she did give me those resources. Now, as we're in 2023 and the climate's changing, and I'm not doing the drugs, I'm not doing the alcohol, I'm not smoking any cigarettes, I'm eating all food, I'm facing my demons of whatever, of all the different allergens that are in my body, and I'm not falling into all the distractions out there. I am nothing like my peers. No different when I was in fucking grade school and high school. Or junior high. And it's saving my fucking ass as I'm watching people go over the cliff together like lemmings, reinforcing all the bullshit, deadly shit, reinforcing all that, even to their children. And so now you see why I don't like my mother for many years, because she didn't give a shit if I perceived what she was doing was correct. She was correct. She wasn't my friend. She was my mother, doing exactly what needed to happen. She did her job, and the rest was up to me. She wasn't going to be that soft, peddling mother who kills you with love. Look at all the mothers out there killing their kids with love, right? You're either going to make it or you won't. And if your own parents are afraid to challenge you, right, you will not like anyone challenging, and you'll suffer from the lack of conditioning or stress. So look at all these mothers that are saving their children with money, with housing, with treats, with gifts, with all of that. Oh, here, let me save you from this. And so when the parent finally fucking dies, right, it will happen one day. Who's that kid going to go to when they're in danger? They're going to go find the next fucking schmo that's going to go and save them. That's why you need all your friends and family, because in case somebody dies, you have a backup if someone's going to fucking save you and give you what you need when you make a fucked up mistake. I'm not raising the fucking community out there. I'm not raising anybody. My husband doesn't need to raise other people or other people's kids or other people's adults. He's around people who are relatively mature. Okay? But if you're friends with people who haven't grown up and haven't fucking figured out their own bullshit, and they're always being saved by somebody, they will take and take and take from you until there's nothing left. And that's what happens out there with friends, with family, daughters and sons and mothers and wives and whatever. They just keep saving people around them, so they never are conditioned to ever suffer or fend for themselves and strategize their survival, because someone's always there giving them money or giving them a place to live. And so then then they feel entitled. Then they feel entitled, and they're like, well, if you're not helping me, then you're not my friend. If you're not there for me, they see it all over Facebook. Oh, if you were never there for me when times are hard, then you should be there for me when times are good. Fuck you. I don't want to be there for you at all. Because you can't even be there for your fucking self. But you see all that entitlement all over Facebook. All about, oh God, my friend is not my friend if they don't give me something. My friend's not my friend if they're not there for me when I need them. Oh. So then you just, and when people have families and they have kids, oh, that's even worse. Because then you have to go to their birthday parties. You have to go to all these things to support them in their journey. And then you're caught up in that. So if you don't support them in their journey, then you're a bad friend. Then you're a bad person. That's manipulation. That's the manipulation of the family and the mothers with their kids, exploiting them, using them to get money and get social capital and get connections with people. No. So my mother was fucking right. Oh my God, she was fucking right. She understood all that shit. She got it. I wish she was able to tell me back then, or even tell me, in the last 5 years. But I'm telling you now. I'm telling you now. I figured it out. I wish she would have told me, because I would have understood. But then that could open another can of worms that could be unpredictable. So just let me figure it out for myself, right? Well, I'm going to tell you all who I am. I'm not the crazy ass fucking thing that people claim that I am. No, I understand what's going on in this world and why people don't survive. Because it's their parents that fucked them up on so many levels. And these kids are deficient. Some of these kids don't have what it takes to grow up in this society. And the parents will keep coddling them until they don't exist. And so if your own parents are afraid to challenge you, you will not like anyone challenging you, and you'll suffer from the lack of conditioning or stress. Thanks, Mom. I hope you're surviving climate change. You were smart enough not to assume I was going to take care of you in your old age because I would make you suffer to live and I would try to save you. You knew that was never going to happen. So my mother she's figured out how to make sure that she has things that she needs, that something happens, she has enough family to figure out how to help her out that are younger than her and all that. And so we kids don't have to be responsible for taking care of her in her elderly age. Because if she would never be under my care, never, because she knows the roles would be reversed, and I would use everything she used on me onto her. She knew that was not going to happen. She's a smart fucking lady. That's why I love her and I respect the fuck out of her, but she pissed me off, and I'm just fuck, because it has been hard trying to figure out why the hell I'm who I am. But now, what she developed in me is saving my life. And that happened a long time ago when I was a fucking baby, when I was a child. That's where it starts. When the training of survivability starts when you're a fucking baby. You can't try to apply my information to a kid that's like 25 years old. They're done. Now you just hope they fucking survive. And then you got to be representation. And so now I understand that. That's why when you have children having children out there, fuck, those poor kids don't stand a goddamn chance. Nope. And so, yeah, when I was thinking about like my my culture, the Vietnamese culture, and I don't have any really connection to the Vietnamese culture at all. Because, yeah, the Vietnamese culture has turned the American dream into some kind of major aggressive capitalism and all that. And all about Fendi and Gucci and collecting all the latest baubles and all that shit. All the social image capital bullshit. And so the American dream at the expense of the Americans and the children of the world. Okay, well, why did I say that? Because it's fine to have the American dream, but at the expense of who? Now we're figuring out through the vampire type of stuff what the American dream was at the expense of. It was at the expense of your children, at the expense of your parents, at the expense of the children of the world, exploiting them to make all your fucking baubles and Fendi bags and all your Birkin bags and all of your, superficial pretty shit. And so now it's not so much the American dream, but now let's reconsider what Americans are today. Let's reconsider how we can change the American dream, not to be the American nightmare, but the American balance. I don't fucking know. I have to figure it out. It's not the American dream, because it definitely is a dream, but you're exploiting somebody for that dream, and you're exploiting your children and people overseas because you're buying all that bullshit, cheap Chinese goods. And so just because we've been doing that shit for the last 80 years does not mean what we've been doing was going to last forever. It doesn't mean it was meant to last forever. So nothing as far as the economy, the cultures, the religions, the politics, the scientific dogmas are going to last forever, right? Even your job, nothing lasts forever. So try to adapt to all the changes and to be the one to stick around when the environment changes, when the environmental programming changes, when the economical programming changes, when the cultural programming changes. All right? And so this is where you're now being faced with a choice, because your body is a programming that was built for the old society. In America, I'm just saying from the American perspective or from the West perspective, the first world perspective, your body was built for the economy of the day. Okay? So when the old programming starts to break down, will you die with the old programming, or will you allow yourself to evolve to the new programming? All right? So some of you are going to figure out faster that you're going to have to evolve to some different programming, because some of your jobs, some of your industries are being phased out, and it's going to turn to AI, or robots are going to be doing your job. How are you going to evolve and release the old programming so then you can evolve to the new programming? And then all the generation descriptions of what generation X, Y, and Z and all that are going to be facing economically, facing culturally and all that, then you can figure out what kind of jobs you're going to match yourself to once you change the programming and evolve. Okay? Some things will be there for a while, but others are being phased out, and people are finally realizing that they're going to have to do something different. That the system is going to phase out certain tradie jobs. They're going to phase out certain things that then, when your whole family and you have depended upon that specific job, that specific industry, and then that's going to be phased out, what are you and your family going to do? How are you going to evolve and adapt to those changes? And many people are resisting that. They're not trying to strategize their way into finding something different to get into and learn. They're trying to keep to the old stuff, and they're resisting so much. They're using up so much life force. So instead of using that energy to resist, use that energy to then redirect, strategize, learn new skills. But you're going to see the resistance out there. Even if they're not activists, they'll resist changing from one job to another. Resisting their lifestyle of going out and hanging out with people all the time to now finally being home a little bit and taking care of themselves and their body and their mind and their spirit. And so, all right. All right, so I already said all that stuff. All right, let me see if there's anything else I need to say. All right, there's that. I said that already. Oh yeah, the salt water isn't poison when someone can live on salt water for 14 days. Because the group of Nigerian stowaways survived 2 weeks on a cargo ship ruddered by reportedly drinking the ocean water crashing below them. So yeah, these are black people, have a lot to them, and so that salt water they probably needed, and they survived on it, and they had enough energy in their body to convert and feed itself and keep it alive. When you're skinny, doing so much of highly energetic stuff, then you're releasing demons and even releasing yourself. Oh, Penny was saying, people used to say it drives you crazy and then you die. All right, I said that. I said that about drugs, Van Helsing, the urticaria, and what else? Universe 25, I said that already. And I said the environment, my hair. Okay, I'm just going through and make sure I don't. I'm trying to copy and paste shit. Jesus Christ. It's just a pain in the ass. And the mother thing. And that. All right, I think I covered everything. Yeah. The American Dream, the message of the return. Yeah, so I'm good. All right. So you guys, have a good day. But I'm telling you, facing the pain of releasing, holy shit. You gotta really transition. When you know you're weak, when you know you have a heart condition, when you know you have brain conditions, when you know you have all these different conditions that you've been taking drugs and prescription drugs or had surgeries, you're going to have to bring in the food slowly and release the demons. Bring all the food in that you were allergic to, right? Whether the milk or the meat or the cheese or the eggs. Bring it in slowly. Pull out the shitty ass programming. Feel whatever has to come to the surface on your skin and even in your head and everything else. Feed the energy that you feel from that pain with food. And you relax and release the demons. And that's going to be a process of feeling stuff, feeding it, relaxing, release the demons. It's like, oh God, there is that. Okay, hold on. I'll write that down. Jeez. So feel pain, feed pain, release the demons or pain using my method in my book. Feel pain, feed pain, release the demons, but not through the JAGES. Because when you do the JAGES, it'll wake everything up. It'll activate your immune system. But this environment is already activated. Now you have to feel the pain, feed the pain, and release the demons in my book. And you're going to feel everything come through. You're going to feel all the rashes. Some people have really aggressive psoriatic psoriasis that looks like scales. Oh yeah, it's going to be hell for some people because they held so much of those allergens in their body. And yeah, it's not going to be easy releasing the demons and getting your life back. But if you want to survive and you want to put that pain to use so it doesn't destroy you, then you're going to have to figure out how you're going to handle getting your life back. And so it's not for the faint of heart, but that's essentially what's going on right now. And so my mother conditioned me to deal with suffering, to deal with pain, to deal with being an outcast, to deal with everybody hating you, thinking you're different, and still survive it without destroying, without self-destruction. That's the gift that she gave me. And then I understand why she was not like other parents out there. Because the training does begin when you're a baby. It's hard to teach an old dog new tricks. An old dog could be someone who's 15 or 16. All right, bye.